friends, we are back again with Heart to Heart Talks with Dr. Indu Aneja. Welcome back, ma'am. Ma'am, we have received a great response from all the viewers, and it's so encouraging to see how they are receiving our videos. All thanks to you and your insight, which you have shared. And all the viewers, thank you so much. We are deeply humbled by your responses. And this is a common query that we have received, and I would like to post this with you. Usually, parents deal with children who throw a lot of tantrums, and there are situations where parents also feel embarrassed when they're in a public place. So, regarding tantrums, how how should we define a tantrum?
Thank you, Kirti. I think you have picked up a very relevant topic. Time and again, when I'm interacting with the parents, I get to be asked this question that how do we handle tantrums? How do we really, discourage our child from, throwing tantrums, especially when they are in social situation. So I think tantrum is something that child wants something and is adamant on getting it, and if you refuse or if you don't give it, they kind of start behaving very fussy.
Right.
For example, they may start crying very loudly, or they may start throwing things. They would even fall on the floor and start crying at the top of the voice, and it becomes actually very embarrassing to handle that. And I think it's a very relevant topic that you have picked up. Actually, one of the viewer has asked us to cover this, and this is, I'm sure this is going to be a good topic for discussion.
Right.
Yes, please.
We got many queries around
Yes.
tantrums.
Yes.
And so, why exactly tantrums happen?
See, usually what happens, kids especially operate for pain or pleasure.
Right.
And it's not just kids, I think all of us. We operate around pain and pleasure. Anything that gives us pleasure, we want it more. Anything that gives us pain, we want to avoid it. So when you give something to a child and the child enjoys it, he or she wants to have it again. So once that becomes a pattern where they get what they want and they get every time that they get, then they expect that whatever I ask will be given.
Right.
For example, if a child is watching TV, you allowed the child to watch TV for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then say after 15 minutes you say, let's switch off TV and start studying, or let's go to bed. But the child says, no, 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 I want to watch for another 10 minutes. Now what has happened? And you allow. And you allow. Once you allow means they will know that now I can watch it for another 10 minutes. Now second time again you go and tell them that okay, now let's switch off the TV and or phone. TV is now no more a thing of interest for kids.
Right.
It's phone.
Smartphone.
So when you say that okay, now let's switch off the phone and go to bed or maybe start studying, again they will say another 10 minutes and you permit. Now what you have done in that process of two times or three times agreeing to the child's demand, you have reinforced that behavior, where the child feels that I can create fuss and I can get it. So usually it's we who actually reinforce that behavior by agreeing to the demand that the child makes, because that's something that the child is enjoying. And once you refuse to fulfill that demand, the child would more likely, throw tantrums.
Right. And also, ma'am, I'm sure that such behavior patterns affect the child in the long run when they become adults.
Definitely. Definitely, I think again, Kirti, you have touched a very, very important point. I think this is for all of us to understand. When you do not break this pattern of, throwing tantrums, and actually kids get what they want when they throw tantrum. So these are the roots that get built at childhood, and you can see its consequences in the adulthood when you see grown up people banging door, throwing things, breaking their phone, fighting with people, using abusive language to the extent becoming violent with people. Clearly, because what they want, if they don't get, they cannot handle that frustration of not getting it or refusal of not getting it, and that's how they throw tantrums. And adult tantrums are far more dangerous and disastrous
Correct.
if you look at life. So it's very important to check this pattern at the childhood, learn how to deal with it, and make sure that your child learns to accept no or refusal for something that the child wants, and develop a healthy way of handling that. So, as parents, I think it's our great responsibility to make sure that our kids learn to accept no or refusal of something that the child wants, and definitely then in when they grow up, they will be able to handle life in a more balanced way.
Correct. Correct. So, from the parents' perspective, ma'am, how can parents handle their children when they are throwing tantrums?
Kitty, it's very important to understand uh, how to prevent tantrums and then how do you handle them. See, I would focus a bit on how to prevent it, because if we know how to handle child's behavior,
Right.
then the problem of tantrum will not be that major. But then when it happens, then we have to learn how to reduce it or how do you handle it. One, I say, before you say no for anything, for example, if child is asking for something and you think you can say yes for it, it's better to say yes and do that. For example, if child wants to play and you think it's all right, child hasn't played since morning and the child wants to play for half an hour, allow. But once you have said no, think before you say no. And once you have said no, then please stick to your no. For example, child has sore throat and child is asking for ice cream. And you feel because child throat is not well, so child shouldn't take anything like ice cream or anything cold. So once you have said no, then please stick to your no. That's one thing. And once one of the parent has said no, then I think everybody who is in the family, if the mother has said no, then father also has to say no. You can't have ice cream because you have sore throat. Then parents, grandparents, uncle, auntie, everybody and anybody who is in the family will have to stick to that no.
Right.
In case if mother says no and father says yes, now child knows who is going to fulfill my desire. So the 2-3 videos that we have covered already, that both the parents and grandparents should be on the same page. I think this is one of the examples
Right.
where they can learn how to be on the same page. Now
Right.
collectively, if you have said no, the child may get upset, may get annoyed with you, may try to, cry or throw things. I'll talk about it how to handle that. But a clear message will go to your child that once they have collectively said no for my benefit, it's going to be no. That's one thing I always suggest, that if you have consistency of behavior
Right.
and uniformity of behavior with your child, the child will ultimately learn to discreet between what is right for me and what is wrong for me. That is one thing. Now, coming to how to manage tantrums, especially I know kids throw tantrums, and I've seen this, when I travel across the country, I see kids throwing tantrums, and parents are really very, baffled now. How do we handle it publicly? And more or less, they actually give in. Especially when the child throws tantrums, parents feel so embarrassed that they quietly agree to whatever the child wants. So, in a way, what you have done, you have reinforced the child's behavior. So, very important here is, for example, you are at home and the child is crying for ice cream. Child is crying for ice cream, and you cannot allow your child to eat ice cream because the child is not well, or the child is already on medicines, or is not keeping well. So just ensure the safety of your child, because when they throw tantrums, they would actually throw themselves on floor, or they may start hitting things, they may start throwing things. Just ensure that there is nothing which can hurt the child, but quietly move out of that place for few minutes. You need to leave your child alone for few minutes. I'm again saying, please make sure that your child is in the safe place, not that he is standing on the top stair and you leave the child and go, and the child crying falls down these stairs. Nothing of that sort. So make sure that your child is in the safe place. Leave your child there. Move out of that room. Get away from that situation, because as long as you are in the same room, there will be action reaction between you and your child. whether you're verbally saying or you're just looking at your child out of anger. Just move out of that room. Let your child cry. It's all right. Nothing will go wrong if they cry for 2, 3, 5 minutes. Once they will see that their crying is not helping, so you're breaking the pattern. They'll cry, they'll calm down, they'll come back to you. And that is the time when they come back to you, help them understand why you are saying no. And then again, please stick to your first no. Chances are when you see your child coming back after crying for 10 minutes, acha theek hai le le.
Right.
Whatever you have done, that effort goes waste.
Right.
Reinforce the same thing. I'm not allowing you to take ice cream because your throat is not fine. You can take chocolate, or you can take pastry, or you can take biscuits. You can take anything, whatever you think you are comfortable offering. But stick to your point. Trust me, if you practice this with your child, within no time, your child will learn that my throwing tantrums is not going to help. That's how I think parents can learn how to deal with the children throwing tantrums. Ensure their safety, move out of that place, let that child cry, come back to you. Sometimes they don't eat, sometimes they just lock themselves in the room. That's all right. As long as they are safe in the room, or even if they are not eating, it's all right. They are going to feel hungry, they are going to come back to you. But give them that much of time to realize that if you have said no, there is a reason and you are not going to give in. That is something that as parents we need to do.
Right. So we need to have a consistent behavioral pattern, and we should definitely address tantrums at an early stage. That's a great insight. Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you, viewers. We are very encouraged by all your comments and queries. Please keep flowing all your questions, and we would love to take them in the upcoming videos. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kirti. Wonderful.